Alright guys, this is Sawyer, and I'm here to do my video review for Thor Ragnarok, the newest installment of the Thor trilogy and also of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yeah, this was a really enjoyable movie. I really liked it. It was a lot of fun, some really good action, some really great jokes, some great character interactions. Set pieces were really amazing, very colorful, very vibrant movie in general. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really awesome movie, and I'm gonna be talking about a lot of spoilers. So just, if you haven't seen the movie yet, just be warned. I will probably spoil everything there is to spoil about it. So the movie begins. The movie begins with a really awesome, beginning intro, fight scene kind of action sequence, with a lot of comedy by Thor. A lot of comedy. He's fighting Surtur at the beginning. Surtur is really cool, and he's actually voiced by, oh god, I can't remember the voice actor now. It'll come back to me. He's voiced by somebody, actually really famous. But, anyway, the opening fight scene is really awesome. It's got a lot of, cool visuals of Thor, flying the hammer around in a circle. And it was really fun. And he uses the hammer a lot in that opening sequence, which is kind of interesting because he loses the hammer pretty quickly after that. Which I think the reason why they show the hammer so much is just to try to reinforce how important the hammer is to him at this point in his life. So that when he loses the hammer, it makes an even bigger impact on the audience. Like, oh shit, he lost his hammer, he ain't nothing now. So I did like that. Looking back after the movie, after I finished the movie, that was interesting that they decided to focus on the hammer so much during that opening sequence. And then we get introduced to a new character who is the Executioner from the comic books. I don't think they really call him. Well, they reference him as the Executioner, but I don't think they really call him Executioner in the movie. He's played by Keith Urban, which if you know him, if you're familiar with the Star Trek trilogy, like the newer Star Trek trilogy, you would know him as a Dr. Bones. So yeah, he's in this movie. He doesn't really get a whole lot of talking lines, but he is pretty interesting. He's fun. He has that great moment at the end where he kind of sacrifices himself and with his two rifles from Texas, the planet Texas, which was really funny. So yeah, we get introduced to him, and he's taking the place of the guy that I can't remember his name, the guy that controls the gate. Played by Eric Servis. I'm really bad with pronouncing names. So yeah. That was a cool sequence. That whole moment where he opens the gate, you get that music playing, and the dragon's head gets cut off and flung through the room. That was just really hilarious. And then we get introduced to probably the funniest scene in the entire movie, in my opinion. The fear, the play scene. That was so great. It was a great callback to the second movie. In that it's funny because it's making fun of a really intense scene in Thor 2 that's really emotional with Loki saying his goodbyes to Thor and all that stuff. So it was funny to see them making fun of that in this movie, just totally playing. And at first I thought that was I thought that was Matt Damon playing Loki at first, in the fear scene, but I wasn't sure. And then I didn't see his name in the credits or anything, so I was like, I guess that wasn't Matt Damon. But later on, I looked at some other some more in-depth credit thing, and he was credited in the movie. That was him playing Loki. I just thought it was really funny. he doesn't really look that recognizable except for his face. You can kind of tell his facial features. But I thought it was funny. I was like, really? They get Matt Damon to play Loki? What the hell? And it's such a small scene. It's just funny to think that Matt Damon's in the cinematic universe, as a guy playing Loki in a fear. But yeah, that was a hilarious scene. I love how quickly Thor figures out that Loki's impersonating his dad. I thought that was really cool. I did feel like that whole scene, it kind of feels like in Thor 2, the way they ended it, it almost feels like they weren't, they had something else planned for this movie, story-wise, but then the director was like, no, we're not going to go with that, we're just going to go with this whole different story, but we do need to address what happened at the end of Thor 2, so let's just make this quick little scene, and let's make it really funny, and then hopefully the audience won't think too much about it. Because I swear, I feel like they were setting up a more in-depth storyline with Loki pretending to be the king of Asgard, but then they just kind of burned through that really fast to get to the more important story, or the story they've set up. So then we get a really cool scene that's really funny with Doctor Strange popping up for maybe 10 minutes, but it didn't. And don't get me wrong. This is a fun scene. I love the scene with Doctor Strange. I think it's really funny. I think it's really awesome seeing Doctor Strange again. I really like seeing Doctor Strange's interactions with Thor and how he feels about magic users or gods and all that stuff. But I do feel like the scene is just tacked on. It's not really necessary. It is a really funny scene, so I wouldn't want them to cut it. But it just feels so out of place, and you can tell that's not really important. They just felt like they wanted Doctor Strange in the movie. But yeah, that was cool. That was fun seeing. So much comedy within that one little scene. And then and I did like the reference. I did like how Thor is hammered. Like when he's disguised as a normal person, his hammer is turned into a umbrella. Which, I mean, this hammer can shapeshift now. I didn't know that was a thing, but it was funny because it's kind of a callback to the classic comic books. Because in the classic comic books, Thor usually he would walk around as having his hammer disguised as the umbrella or as a stick or whatever whenever he was in human form. So that was kind of funny that they played homage to that. So then we get introduced to Hela, and we also see our farewells to Odin. Which the scene was Odin was beautifully shot over there in Norway or whatever, and and it's a really beautiful scene. I love the dialogue between them. Like it was really cool. It's really cool to see Loki and Thor just being very calm with each other because they're saying their goodbyes to their dad. It felt very very relatable and very realistic because in real life, if you have a family member that's dying, especially like a parent or something. A lot of times siblings come together, even if they're not on good terms with each other, they'll come together and they'll put their differences aside to say goodbye to a loved one. That does happen in real life. I mean, brothers or whatever that hate each other, they will put aside their differences. Usually, for the most part, they will do it, for a loved one, So I thought it was cool that Loki and Thor just, they're acting normal. They're acting like normal people and just, especially Loki, Loki's just kind of being quiet and he's listening, like he's paying his respects to his dad. Like he doesn't like his dad, he doesn't like his brother, but he's paying respect to them in that scene, which I enjoyed. And Thor, he's being Thor. And then I love Hela. I'm kind of torn between her, honestly. Like I enjoy the style behind her character and like her motivations are interesting. Her power is kind of weird, but it's okay. But she is kind of one-dimensional almost. I don't know how I really feel about her as a villain. She is a fun villain, but I don't think she's a very in-depth villain. So then we get her destroying the hammer like super quickly, very easily. That was great. The whole teleporting fight was really cool. That was awesome. I enjoyed that. And then we get to the real gist of the movie. Like my favorite aspect of the movie is when Thor is on the alien world. I forget what they call it, but. We get introduced to the Grand Master, which he's really, really funny, played by Jeff Goldblum. Great. Lots of comedy in this whole... And the next, 45 to the hour of the movie is almost pure comedy. It's great. We get introduced to Valkyrie's character. She's really interesting. I enjoy it. I enjoy her being this drunk, badass. That first scene where we see her is just hilarious. And then we get the whole... Hawk and Thor battle, which is really fun, really great. There's a lot of comedy. Just seeing Loki's responses to Thor is, seeing Loki's response to the Hawk is great. That is so funny, and the whole movie does a lot. The movie does a lot of callbacks to other Marvel movies. So I thought that was funny, like that he's basically directly referencing Thor, Avengers 1. And the whole scene where Hawk is just smashing, Thor on the ground, that was great. Like Loki's like, yes, that's what that feels like. Man, that was great. And probably one of my favorite moments in the whole movie is when Thor is trying to calm Hawk down while doing the whole Black Widow thing. The sun's going down, big boy. It was so ridiculous. He should have known that wasn't going to work. That only works if you're Scarlett Johansson. I'm sorry. But, yeah, that was a really fun scene. And I really do like the relationship they build between Hawk and Thor in this movie. It's very interesting. Because they are very similar. It's just like they say in the movie. They're both like fire, but Hawk's like a raging fire, and Thor's a smoldering flame. What else? Yeah, the movie does kind of teeter off a little bit towards the middle. I think but not too bad. I really do enjoy I enjoy a lot of the side characters too, like the Stone guy is fun. And he's actually voiced by the director of the movie, which I thought was interesting. And then we get the whole escape scene. Loki tries to betray Thor, which like Thor says in the movie, he's becoming predictable, you know, like and I did enjoy that. I thought it was fun that Thor finally got the upper hand on Loki. He realizes like, hey, this guy's going to betray me. I mean, it's going to happen. That was good. That chase scene was really cool. I love the music they play. The intensity was awesome. All the Jack Kirbyism coming out. For you guys that don't know, Jack Kirby is an artist that did a lot of work on the original Thor comics, and he has a very unique, colorful, vibrant style. He's famous for making really over-the-top like machinery, like, you know, machines that look really complicated with a lot of color and stuff. And you can tell that in the movie. Like, you can tell that the movie uses a lot of Jack Kirby inspiration for costume design, the ship designs, especially in that chase scene. The ships and the way the Grandmaster soldiers are dressed up is very, very Jack Kirby inspired, and I like that. That was fun. So then they basically get back to Asgard, and there's this huge battle, like, you know, kind of like the grand moment in the movie. It's really fun. I love the whole battle on the bridge. That's great. Hawk jumping down and falling on his ass was funny. Him turning into Hawk and having that big battle with I forget the name, the big giant hound or wolf. That was really cool. That was awesome fight sequence. We get to see Thor finally lets loose and kind of, you know, learns his true potential. We found out that the hammer was basically just a tool to help Thor focus his powers. That it's not the source of his powers, which I never did think it was the source of his powers. I mean, I just thought it was a weapon, you know. But that is really cool. Like I love the special effects they use for Thor, like the lightning eyes and stuff, and how he kind of has like a chain lightning thing that he basically just uses. That is really cool. Him getting his eye taken out was kind of crazy. I wasn't actually expecting that, but I mean, it works. It kind of helps to cement the idea that Thor is coming full circle from where he began, and that he's becoming more like his dad. I understand all the symbolism that kind of has. So that was cool. I don't know how I really feel about the final conclusion to the fight with them activating Surtur and Surtur destroying Asgard. Like, that was a really ballsy move, and I do understand they make a lot of ballsy moves in this movie. They make a lot of really drastic changes to the story and to the characters, and by killing a lot of characters, by destroying Asgard, by taking Thor's eye out. There's a lot of big drastic changes in this movie, which is kind of interesting, and it's different because normally Marvel movies kind of play it safe. So I did enjoy that they were changing it up so much in this movie. It was a fresh air. But they killed a lot of characters. They killed the Warrior 3. I wasn't expecting them to kill all 3 of the Warriors 3. But the end sequence was interesting. I understand the symbology behind it. You know, the only way to basically save the day was by, you know, fulfilling the prophecy, and that the prophecy was always going to be fulfilled. They just do it themselves. That was kind of cool. I did enjoy the end of the movie. I love the idea that all the Asgardians become basically nomads, and they're just traveling through space looking for a new home. You know, which is very reminiscent of what Vikings actually did. Vikings were normally on ships going across the ocean, finding new lands to discover and take over. That was what they did. So I mean, it kind of makes sense that the Asgardians would end up, you know, traveling and looking for a new home. I'm not saying they're going to go and rape and pillage people, but I mean, I'm just saying that was cool for that to kind of have that connection. So yeah, that was my summary of the whole movie. I really enjoyed the movie, like I said before. It's really fun and interesting. The only complaint I might make for the movie, and this is not really a complaint, it's just more of a nitpick, is that sometimes the movie's almost a little too funny. It tries to take away, sometimes the comedy kind of takes away from the feel of the movie. There are some scenes where I think it should have just stayed more serious and not had a joke in the middle or the end or whatever. But they are funny. The jokes are really hilarious. But it's kind of there's certain scenes and certain moments in the movie when you feel like you're supposed to be serious. It's kind of the same thing at a funeral. You know, somebody speaks at a funeral and they make a comment and it might be a funny joke or like a funny memory of somebody that passed, but it feels weird when everybody laughs at it, because it's like, man, we're at a funeral. I mean, we shouldn't be laughing at this. It's the way I felt in this movie. It's not saying it's wrong, but it gives you mixed feelings about the joke whenever it comes in a moment like that. So yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot, and I definitely recommend it to anybody that's a Marvel fan, or really just a movie fan. Like, if you just want a fun, crazy action movie, this is your movie. This is your movie. Watch it. All right. So as always, thank you guys for liking, comment, subscribing, all that kind of stuff. And see you guys later. Peace out.